What's good, everybody? It's Robo back with another video, and today I'm bringing you another update to my 2025 NFL mock draft. This time I'll be going over my choices for the first two rounds. This is just my current opinion and what feels right to me. I'll have one more update that's more intel oriented the week of the draft. Before that, my next video is going to be an NBA draft big board update post March Madness, so stay tuned for both those videos in the future. That's all I got, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the mock draft. With the first pick in the draft, I still believe the Titans take Cam Ward to be the quarterback of the future. This is pretty consensus now and seems like the clear, real scenario for Tennessee. They've built a better offensive line and can add some more pieces throughout the draft to improve the offense around them. And I do believe Cam can be the guy for the Titans' future. And like I've mentioned, you really can't pass up on the opportunity to draft a potential franchise guy when there's no telling where your pick's going to be the following year if you decide to wait it out another season.
Let him throw the football over your head. Don't give him a cheap one here at the end of the first. Shut down the sideline.
Ward seemingly always at the ready. Look at him extending the play and now downfield.
The Browns have a lot of needs, and like I've mentioned in the past mocks, there's a real chance they pass on Sanders and take Abdul Carter or even Travis Hunter here. But with quarterback options super limited now, I'm leaning towards Cedar Sanders being the pick. I don't think they'll roll with just Kenny Pickett, and Garrett's extension lessens the need for an edge a bit. I know Adam Schefter said he's heard Carter will be the pick, but we've seen smoke screens before. I don't like the options in round 2 for them, and the need is a lot heavier at quarterback right now. I think Sanders has the tools to be a good NFL quarterback in the future, and they shouldn't pass on him here.
Sanders gets the feet set toward the end zone for the game. It is! Show him blitz. Sanders. Free play down the sideline.
I have the Giants making a tough decision between Carter and Hunter here at pick 3, and I've gone back and forth on who they should take if this is a scenario. But right now I think it's more likely to be Travis Hunter. Abdul Carter would give them an elite edge room with Burns and Kayvon and allow them to potentially move on from Kayvon soon if that's what they decide to do. But with him still in the fold and some needs at both receiver and DB, I think taking the Heisman winner who can impact both sides of the ball is the right move. If this is the pick for the Giants in April, it'll be interesting to see how they use Travis, but I can see him getting a lot of PT at both spots in New York.
Sanders has Hunter open. They just get it off into the end zone. Contact.
The Patriots are definitely a trade down candidate if they view offensive line as a more important upgrade and see value moving down a few spots for one of Membu or Campbell, and could even take either at 4 here, but in this scenario I think they wouldn't pass on Abdul Carter if he's on the board still. Edge is not a big need for New England, but he could end up the best player in the draft, and New England isn't really in a rush to fill every need possible. They need more talent, and Carter could end up an absolute monster off the edge for the Patriots paired with Harold Landry.
It's the left shoulder that's giving him fits. If you line him up on the quarterback.
At number 5, I still have the Jaguars going best available player and selecting Mason Graham. They've got a big need on the interior, and he's an incredibly rare defensive tackle talent with some freaky play strength. Just absolutely unblockable, and a major reason why Michigan was so dominant defensively in recent years. I could also see the Jags looking at a weapon or trading down here, but I think Mason Graham improves that defense drastically, and there's a reason this has become a consensus pick for them.
But not so much today. Hauser's going to kick. Bond to the left. McClellan swarmed and dropped.
I've got Ashton Jeanty coming off the board here at pick 6 for the Raiders. I still think it makes sense after they added Geno Smith at quarterback, which shows they want to turn things around quickly under Pete Carroll. Jeanty could be his next Marshawn Lynch, and obviously he's a big upgrade from what they have in-house right now. Jeanty, along with Bowers, Myers, and an obvious quarterback upgrade, could really jumpstart that offense again for 2025.
An unreal talent. And there he goes. Jeanty! On 2nd and 7, Jeanty breaks through. And Jeanty to the 40. His first touch. And typical Ashton Jeanty. Look at him go! You can't breathe.
The Jets are up at pick 7, and I think there's a chance they look to add a weapon here for Justin Fields, specifically Tyler Warren, but I still really think they opt for an offensive line help, which is a bigger need to me. It could be either Armand Membao or Will Campbell, but recently Membao has a lot more smoke to the Jets. Both guys have positional flexibility and can slot in really well for the Jets offense, but Membao having slightly less questions with the arm length and the athletics showing at the combine are 2 reasons why I'm mocking him here at 7 now instead of Campbell, but either guy would be a great pick in my eyes. At 8, I had the Panthers passing on a weapon for Bryce Young and taking an edge, but I decided to switch it up a bit and opt for Ted McMillan now with the lack of offensive additions in free agency. Not only is he a big weapon to add to a pretty desperate offense, but I think McMillan could end up a great fit here. They need a number 1 guy next to Leggett for the future, and with his size and hands, I think he's got a good chance to end up hitting as the best receiver in this draft class.
Fifita launches to the end zone. Defender
on first down. Quick pop, McMillan turns the corner, loses his defender. Now he's off to the races. McMillan.
The past two mocks I had the Saints taking Ted McMillan here, but with him gone from the board now, I'm pivoting to the defensive side of the ball and have him grabbing Jelon Walker out of Georgia. The Saints could use a few different defensive options with this pick, but Walker's versatility as a linebacker and edge rusher is what separates him from me. I love his ability and think he's a surefire top 10 pick. He's got a chance to be a superstar at the next level, and I don't know if the Saints should pass up on that for another guy in this scenario. I think the Bears have done a really good job setting up their offensive line for agency so far, adding Tooney, Jackson, and Dahlman in the interior, which makes their clearest needs remaining in the backfield or at the tackle spot. But with Genty already gone, I don't expect them to jump at Omarion Hampton at 10 here, so I've got him taking Will Campbell. I definitely could see them moving up to select Genty over the Raiders, or moving back if he's gone instead, but Braxton Jones is banged up and also isn't a great guy to me long term, and I think Will Campbell could be an immediate starter over him next season. The 49ers have lost a ton this offseason, so I think the retool starts by grabbing a potential top defensive talent in this class still on the board at a huge position of need in defensive tackle Walter Nolan. I originally had him as a guy who could slip a bit because of needs, but the Niners have a glaring need on the interior, and Nolan was a former top prospect in this class and has the potential to be one of the best defenders in this draft. He'd make that defensive line unit come together to be a whole lot stronger than it was a year ago, in both defending the run and rushing the passer.
Leader of that offensive front, and they get penetrated. The year you're there, things did not go well at Louisville, and now he's with.
And his offense is back in action. Mark Fletcher, who's a very...
I think the Cowboys are one of the toughest teams to mock for. Several needs and directions they could go, but I think adding a weapon next to CD makes the most sense right now. With the loss of Brandon Cooks, they've got nobody reliable out there next to Lamb, and a playmaker like Luther Burden can fill that void immediately, especially with the ability Burden provides with elite speed and quickness after the catch. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Cowboys go several different directions here, or even with another receiver like Golden or Tet if he falls, but I'm a big fan of Burden in an offense with CeeDee Lamb next to him.
On second and goal, it's Burden. Out of the backfield, Luther Burden toward the end zone. They'll stretch the field to the wide side. Here's Burden, the elusive freshman. Stays on his feet. He will take it.
The Dolphins still have plenty of needs and brought in a fair amount of defenders in free agency, but they still need a corner opposite Jalen Ramsey, and a guy with potential as high as Will Johnson still on the board here at 13 is something I don't think they should pass up on. I truly believe Johnson's an instant impact corner. He's one of my favorite DB prospects in a while. I get the injury concerns, but the dude's an absolute ball hawk who has dominated his entire college career. There really aren't any legitimate questions about Will Johnson's game. He's got size, ball skills, elite technique, and incredible game tape.
Now just has to lob it up, and it's intercept. Johnson with the hand strength and the concentration to regroup and get that left arm.
Play fake, McCord underneath, intercepted. Michigan, Will Johnson jumped the route.
Tyler Warren's once again my pick for the Colts at 14. He's one of the better players in the entire draft class and just put up an incredible season at Penn State, basically carrying that offense at times and being the focal point of a playoff team. He's got good hands, he's great after the catch, and was basically always open for Penn State, even when focused on by the defense. I think he can be an incredible weapon for that Colts offense as they go all in on giving both Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones one more shot at proving they're worthy of being a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Tyler Warren. And Warren taking Gophers with him for a first down and more.
Correct snap here. He's going to run it all the way behind a tight end block, and here he goes. Tyler Warren.
Even after signing Leonard Floyd, I think the Falcons' biggest need this offseason is still on the edge. They need youth with high potential at that position badly, and I think Mikael Williams is the right pick for them. I had Shamar Stewart here in my last mock and could even see Jihad Campbell going here as an off-ball linebacker, but Williams still brings elite upside with his frame and athleticism, and he had better production than Shamar Stewart in college and has the hometown factor of coming out of Georgia, which may make him a fan favorite in Atlanta. I had the Cardinals going offensive line here the past two mocks, and that's still a very viable possibility to me. They could use both guard and tackle help, so getting a guy as talented and flexible on the line as Texas's Kelvin Banks Jr. makes a ton of sense to me. He's one of the three best linemen in this class for me, and a definitely worth a top 20 pick. The need fits, and I don't think they'd have to move Paris Johnson over either since Banks is versatile, which could end up instantly improving that line for Kyler Murray and the Cardinals offense in the future. The Bengals have a glaring need at edge now with the Hendrickson trade looming, and I could see it being a number of guys, but swinging on high potential with athletic freak Shamar Stewart here is what I'm going with. He's got the size profile of a Myles Garrett and a ton of hype as a potential top 15 pick, even despite the low production in college. And again, with Trey Hendrickson's trade request looming and a lesser pass rush anyways, I see no other option for the Bengals draft choice than edge, and Shamar could pan out to being one of the best players in this class.
3rd and 9 in Texas A&M territory. Bazelak in trouble, down he goes!
3rd and 12. They go with the inside screen to DK.
The Seahawks will go a few ways here at 18, including defensive line, O-line, or even another receiver, but I think continuing to rebuild the offense around newly acquired Sam Darnold is the right choice here, and the most important need is on the interior of the offensive line, and Tyler Booker is my top guy available for that job. I think he'd fit in with Seattle's offense pretty well and help improve the run game drastically for K9 and Charbonnet, and the Seahawks get out a 3rd receiver later on in the draft anyway, so this need is just a lot more important to me.
8th play of this opening drive. It's a keeper. Milroe follows the back. Milroe explodes.
Yet again, I have the Bucs taking Jihad Campbell at 19. This is still my favorite fit in the first round, as the Bucs definitely need a future playmaker at linebacker who can also rush the passer. And Jihad provides both of those with his flexibility as a backer and an off-ball rusher. Levante David is back for next season, but he's nearing retirement, so you get Campbell to learn from him without even having to man the Mike spot in year 1, which is a picture-perfect situation for me to really ensure he's their guy for the long-term future.
3-man rush. Beck surveys, throws it right to Alabama. It's picked up by Jihad Campbell.
The Broncos added Evan Ingram to the offense, which knocks tight end off as a major need, so I think they go another weapon route and take a receiver here. But another need is at the running back position, where they really need a playmaker, and Omarion Hampton provides that for them. He had 400 yards receiving this past season on top of 1,600 on the ground, and could fit in really well next to Bo Nix in the backfield. It is a deep running back class, but I'm not a big fan of either McLaughlin or Estime long-term in Denver, and if Hampton is the pick, I see them grabbing a receiver in round 2 or 3 anyways.
Now it's a foot race. On 3rd down, shovel pass, Hampton here. Look at the room he has to run. Inside the 20, still on his feet, he'll score.
The Steelers lost Najee Harris this offseason to the Chargers, and now have a glaring hole at both quarterback and running back. But with Omarion Hampton off the board and still no quarterback signed, I think Jackson Dart is heavily in play here. Even if they do end up landing Aaron Rodgers, that's a 1-year, maybe 2-year rental, and I still think they bring in Dart anyways to compete and learn from him. And like I just said, last pick, this running back class is pretty loaded, and they can land a quality back in a later round while grabbing their future quarterback here before another team can.
Jackson Dart's been magnificent so far. Throwing this ball towards the end zone. Dart forced to run to his left and then throws it deep down.
I've still got Colson Loveland coming off the board here to Jim Harbaugh's Chargers. This pick just makes a ton of sense with the glaring need at tight end and with the familiarity from Michigan. He fits so well into the offense for Justin Herbert. Loveland's a legitimate star potential tight end with some elite receiving ability. He has great hands and a large catch radius. He's a good route runner and has great feel for getting open on broken plays, and Harbaugh's going to know exactly how to get him the ball as much as they need to really vamp up that passing game next season.
Loveland going up, pulling it.
3 report.
Oh, hello. Loveland going up.
Feeling the pressure, McCarthy throws. Caught down the McCarthy. Throwing on 1st down. Underneath, he's got his man. It's Loveland. Turn.
The Packers could also go a few ways with this pick, and obviously they've got a pretty deep receiver room already, but I still think they definitely want to add more high-end talent to that room for Jordan Love. And I think Matthew Golden has established himself as a potential top 20 pick in this draft. He absolutely skyrocketed up draft boards after a booming end of the 2024 season for Texas, and a blazing 4.3 40-yard dash. This season for the Longhorns, he showcased great speed, separation, burst, and route running in the process, making him one of the top receivers in this draft class.
Ooh, what a catch! To stay alive, can they hook him? Touchdown!
The Vikings lost Cam Bynum in free agency and definitely need an upgrade in the secondary at both corner and safety now. And after the combine Nick Emanwari had, his draft stock pretty much solidified in the first round. And since Jahdae Barron is more of a slot corner, it wouldn't shock me if they went safety here with Emanwari or Malachi Starks. But Emanwari seems like a guy who would fit perfectly in that Vikings defense. His speed, athleticism, and ball skills can help make him an elite playmaker for that defense and help make the roster stronger as they look towards their future with J.J. McCarthy.
Threw it right into the hands of Emanwari. The Gamecocks taking it.
The Texans have completely scrapped half their offensive line, which already needed help anyways, so this pick become pretty glaringly obvious to me, and I think Josh Simmons is the top guy available at this spot. If he wasn't coming off an injury, I think there's a chance he went inside the top 10 or 15 picks, and could end up being an absolute steal selection for Houston. They'll need to continue adding bodies in that offensive line to protect Stroud, and adding a receiver is still going to be important, but for right now, offensive line is a clear-cut top need for me, even after a couple of their free agency additions. I've got Jahdae Barron finally coming off the board here at 26. This could be a dream scenario for them here, as he's a top 20 player in the class and as high as top 10 for some. But with the needs of other teams and the fact he's likely just a slot corner, I think it's possible he slips and is still here in the 20s. Barron was fantastic this season for Texas, shooting himself well into first round conversations. Maybe they'll have to move up in front of the Packers and Vikings to land him, but in this scenario he's still here, and the Rams are a team I could see loving his outlook in the slot and not passing up on that chance.
And Talon pressure against Beck, who stands and delivers on the sideline. It's intercepted. Picked up. Pressure. Now they rush for ball out quickly, and it's juggled and intercepted.
The Ravens will probably look to upgrade the offensive line and the defense this offseason, and I think grabbing Malachi Starks all the way down here at 27 is a no-brainer type of move. He's the type of playmaker in the secondary they could use next to Kyle Hamilton. He's a two-time All-American and a super versatile player lining up all over that secondary for Georgia. He's got size, speed, and instincts that can allow him to be one of the better safeties in the NFL in a few years, something the Ravens could really use to finally get over that hump in the AFC.
Klubnik lets it go deep, and it is intercepted.
Just Mr. Everything. Get off of there. All right, let's go back to the right, guys. Okay, I'm just going to stiff arm 3.
The Lions have to add defensive linemen to this offseason after having little depth last year and losing almost the entire unit to injury. Both edge and defensive tackle are needs with injuries and depth issues, but Mike Green still on the board at 28 would be an absolute home run scenario for Detroit. I really don't see him falling in many mocks, and maybe this would have to be a trade-up move. But again, the way the board shook out with some positional needs, I'd be surprised if at least one of the top defensive lineman prospects didn't slip to the Lions, and in this case it ended up being Mike Green. His production was absolutely unreal, but it coming in the Sun Belt could make some guys go earlier than him, and in this case, the Lions grab a huge steal here.
Here we go right here, and then watch his spin move back to the inside. Gus right there, or outside, excuse me. Terrific spin.
The Commanders had an eventful offseason, adding Deebo Samuel and Laramie Tunsil into the offense for Jaden Daniels, but the simple truth is the defense still needs a lot of work. They added Jonathan Jones into the secondary and picked up Javon Kinlaw and Dietrich Wise, but they still need a long-term answer to their edge rush problems, and I think Boston College edge rusher Donovan Ezeraku fits that need for me. They could also add secondary help, but I still think grabbing a young edge with as much production as Ezeraku would be a great move to improve that pass rush.
Defense on their heels. They hand off to Hart. Hart taken down 209 yards, 2 TDs, 2 picks. Belkamp in trouble.
The Bills missed out on the Super Bowl again, mostly due to the defensive side of the ball, and this offseason will be again about building that area up, as well as getting Josh Allen some more firepower to make that offense even more potent. But defense wins championships, and the Bills have several needs there, and James Pierce Jr. fits that need for me. They did add Joey Bosa and could also use some help at corner, but I still think grabbing a young, high-potential edge with his type of athleticism would be a good move. You can never have enough pass rushers, and I think veteran options are better for their secondary than trusting a rookie there with their championship hopes.
In motion, Johnson stands and waits, and down goes. Off the corner, pressure, down goes Johnson.
The Chiefs don't really have a ton of needs, but could use some help in the offensive line after the loss of Joe Thuney. And with how good this defensive line class is, I could see them grabbing one here as well, but I've got them taking Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State. They badly need an interior lineman, and Zabel has the flexibility to play all over the line. But regardless of where he goes, he's a legitimate first-round lineman talent, and I think the Chiefs absolutely could address that part of the offensive line here. I think the Eagles drafted Milton Williams' replacement here and D-tackle Kenneth Grant out of Michigan. I personally have Grant as a top 20 player in this class, but his stock seems to be behind Walter Nolan's at D-tackle 3 now, and there's a real chance he's on the board in this range. Alongside Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis in Philly, he could wreak havoc on opposing offenses. He's a genuine freak of nature type of lineman with some crazy closing speed at a freakish size of 340 pounds, and he's shown some great pass rush traits from the inside while being a premium run stuffer alongside Mason Graham at Michigan.
He's a big guy as a guard. Handed off, Carter runs right into the midst of
their opening drive before it stalled and were forced to kick. This one is going to start a little differently.
A big reason why I feel the Browns should go quarterback at 2 is because I'm not a fan of the guys after Dart who would be available here, but it also allows them to add one of the top running backs in the class at 33 as well, and a guy like Travion Henderson out of Ohio State. He's as talented as round 2 backs come and could be a hometown favorite in Cleveland, and well worth the investment to me to shape the future of that Browns offense.
It's probably a smart idea. Handoff up there. Travion Henderson in the open field. Travion Henderson.
After not landing either quarterback with pick 3, I find it hard to see the Giants using the 34th pick on a third-string quarterback they aren't super high on. So I have them going defense here with Derek Harmon. Harmon's a potential first-round defensive tackle and will make the D-line room even better next to Dexter Lawrence on the interior. If the Giants take Carter at 3, though, I wouldn't be shocked to see this be a receiver. The Titans need to add some help around the offense for Cam Ward and could go O-line or receiver with this pick, but there's still a first-round talent on the board still, and that's Ohio State receiver Emeka Egbuka. There's a real chance he's available in early round 2, and his route running, hands, and ability after the catch can help him develop into a future star for Ward in the Titans offense, especially playing next to a guy like Calvin Ridley.
Howard, plenty of time. To the end zone again. Caught by They dump it down in space, and here we go. Egbuka with a lane. Emeka.
The Jags still need defensive help even after grabbing Mason Graham, especially in that secondary where I think corner is a likely pick here. And Trey Amos is a realistic selection at 36. There's a chance he goes in late round 1, and the defense is much more valuable to the team that is needy as the Jaguars in selecting a tight end here. I've got several corners ranked in this range though, but Amos would be my best guess right now.
Amos to the outside. Good redirection of the receiver. Looks back and could have picked.
Immediately following Amos, I have another corner coming off the board in round 2 with Florida State standout A.Z. Thomas of the Raiders. Pete Carroll teams were defined by run games and defense, specifically secondaries, and the Raiders absolutely could use his help at corner. Thomas has a size and instinct to be a future number 1 corner in the NFL, so I'd like this pick following Gentee in round 1 for the Raiders.
Third down. Murphy gets rid of it, incomplete.
10, Castellanos going to dump it off to Barfield, and he can't make the first man miss.
The Patriots could absolutely go tackle on round 1 with pick 4 or a trade down, but I had him staying put and grabbing Abdul Carter, so the obvious choice here in round 2 would be a tackle. And Josh Connerly Jr. is still on the board for them here at 38. He's another guy who would go in the end of round 1, but falls out to this spot and can play pretty much right away for New England, helping protect Drake May for their future. The Bears are back up after not having the chance to select Ashton Gentee in round 1, and running back is a clear need still here, so I've got him taking my next highest ranked running back in Quinshon Judkins. I've got Judkins and Caleb Johnson really close, so either is a great pick to me, but Judkins fits the bill of a future standout in the position a bit more to me and would love to fit alongside that Bears offensive unit.
Slips a tackle. Quinshon Judkins again. Haven't had to employ that tonight. Judkins breaks free. Quinshon Judkins hits a sprint.
The Saints still need a corner after grabbing a versatile guy in Jelon Walker at 9, and I think Maxwell Harrison out of Kentucky would be a great selection at 40 if he's available. He's a natural ball hawk with elite speed, clocking in a 4.28 40 at the combine, which helps him recover if he's beat at the line of scrimmage, which doesn't even happen too often because of how well-rounded his man-to-man skills are.
Lucian, it turns out a healthy Brady Cook is the answer, and he's picked off.
The Bears' third biggest need in this draft to me is youth along the defensive line, specifically at edge, and I think former Purdue and Texas A&M edge Nick Scorton can fit that bill for Chicago here. He doesn't need to start right away, but he can make an impact as a rotational defender while he develops, and I still like his ceiling quite a bit for the future.
Green back to throw. In trouble. Pressure coming. Green sack. Balls out.
CFL goes aggressive. Now they rush 4, and they still get him. They close.
The Jets are a team often linked to Tyler Warren in round 1, but pick 7 just a bit too early for me considering the need at tackle. So after taking that tackle, I think they cycle back and grab my number 3 tight end in the draft in Elijah Arroyo. Arroyo's got some rare receiving ability with his size, speed, and burst. He's got some injury concerns, but was finally healthy this past season and exploded on our draft boards to the top 50 talent.
No extra points. We're going for 2. Dylan Gabriel got it on a kick.
The 49ers draft plan has to be build depth in the trenches, and although corner is another important spot for me, so is offensive line still, so Donovan Jackson would be my pick here. He can play either guard or tackle as he showed at Ohio State, but I think he fits in better at guard. Regardless, the flexibility is a big asset, and the 49ers need to add bodies on that O-line, so Jackson makes more sense if he's on the board here. The Cowboys absolutely need to add a running back in this draft. I don't see Javonte Williams or Miles Sanders lasting long there. With how strong this running back group is, I don't think they pass on a guy like Caleb Johnson being available to them in round 2. Some have him as high as their RB3, and I think he's really close to the guys they have a bit above him, and could end up a workhorse for Dallas sooner than expected.
Where you really wanted. He knew Coach Ferentz for many years. Iowa ended up to be the perfect fit, guys.
Caleb Johnson breaking tackles, moving defenders, and still going. Caleb Johnson.
The Colts definitely need to add pieces at linebacker, which does put them in play for Jihad Campbell in round 1, but I couldn't pass on Tyler Warren there, so Carson Schweschinger for UCLA is a pick here at 45 for me. He's pretty unanimously the number 2 true linebacker in this class and a lock for the second round, so this would be a great addition to their defense for me in Indianapolis.
Just a special teams guy. Now he comes on pressure, and he gets up the middle, pushing Keene back. Keene gets it to Delana, and Schweschinger.
Once again, as I mentioned in round 1, the Falcons badly need to address the future of their defensive line, so even after adding a versatile edge in round 1, I think they should double back and go interior in round 2 with Ohio State's Tyleik Williams. He was productive all throughout his college career. He's got great size for a nose tackle and is excellent in run defense and can continue to be a force in the pros.
Pressure brings in trouble. 3rd down and 6. Raiola in trouble. Raiola, and he'll be sacked.
The Cardinals are definitely in the market for a receiver here, but after passing on defense in round 1 to address the O-line, I think they opt for Benjamin Morrison at corner, which is another big need for their defense. I'm a big fan of Morrison's ability as a coverage corner, but the injury recovery is going to obviously drop his stock down a little. If he was healthy, I think he's definitely worthy of a first-round selection, but the Cardinals could be lucky to scoop him up here in the middle of round 2.
Back to the air, and this time he's on 40. Brennan Armstrong on the Wolfpack, firing one deep, single coverage, jump ball.
The Dolphins still need offensive line help after grabbing a stud corner at 13, and I like Ariante Ursary a lot here for them at offensive tackle. The Minnesota product has great size at 6'6", 330, and was one of the most dominant blockers in the country in a loaded conference of edge talent, which should give Miami some confidence around protecting Tua for their future. Some believe the Bengals may go safety with their first round pick, but that glaring need on the edge was way too big for me to pass up on. But I think safety's in play here in round 2 if Xavier Watson's on the board. He's a ball hawk safety with a solid frame and a knack for making big plays, something the Bengals defense needs on the back end in addition to a stronger pass rush for sure.
Klubnik still fielded it, and there's an interception off the ricochet.
And Wegman steps up across the middle. It's a low throw and it's intercepted.
Quickly from the 17-yard line. That one's intercepted.
The Seahawks, in my opinion, should definitely address the pass rush in round 2 after adding Tyler Booker in round 1. And there's a good chunk of guys available, including Josiah Stewart and JT Tuimoloau, but the consensus top guy available is Landon Jackson out of Arkansas. He's got an extreme motor to go along with elite size for a pass rusher and should be able to produce sooner rather than later on that D-line.
Strip sack. Landon Jackson gets around
in a couple different ways. He's one with speed, he's one with counters. This time just a little swipe move and then...
After passing on receiver in round 1, the Broncos likely take one here in round 2, and I think it could be Alec Ayomanor. He's a bigger frame target at 6'2", but combines that size with some solid speed, clocking a 4.44 at the combine. And he's made some big-time catches throughout his college career as well, so you know he's got some big playability for Bo Nix out wide.
Ayomanor open, brings it.
We made the comment, you'll see this young man playing on Sundays. This is a redshirt sophomore, well inbounds with the feet.
The Seahawks are again in play for an offensive weapon here, but also another interior offensive lineman, specifically at the center position where I think Jared Wilson makes perfect sense. He's my top true center in the draft and would complete the overhaul of the interior they need so desperately. Regardless of who's starting, they need several bodies in this draft, and I genuinely think Wilson's a day one starter alongside Tyler Booker. The Bucks got a versatile defender in round 1, but not a true edge rusher, so I wouldn't surprise to see them double down on the front 7 if secondary options aren't great, and pick up Ohio State edge JT Tuimoloau here. JT wasn't super productive in college, but had his moments, especially towards the end of his career, and clearly had the tools to be an excellent player in the NFL. And like I said, this draft should be about rebuilding the future of that defense in Tampa.
In trouble. Tuimoloau in trouble and goes down. They brought the house.
The Packers are likely addressing the cornerback room in either round 1 or 2, so after grabbing a receiver round 1, corner is the obvious pivot for me here, and I think Javon Ravel is a perfect fit for their system. He's got great size and length for the position and could definitely slip down to this spot as he's coming off a major injury, but performance-wise, he's a first-round talent and was projected there pretty much up until a couple months ago.
Here, and this pass is intercepted. Picked off by the Pirates.
I think the Chargers focused on adding to the trenches after selecting an early weapon here. A staple of recent Harbaugh success has been elite O-line and D-line play, and the Chargers need more help on the interior of the D-line. Texas's Alfred Collins can help with that. He's got a huge frame and a ton of versatility as an interior player, something I know Jim loves on his defenses.
Neuer off the screen.
No, he did
Popped
not.
up in the air.
No.
And
Believable what he does. Great awareness to start to back off.
Andrew Makuba is one of my favorite players in this range of the draft. I think he's super slept on by some as one of the top safeties in this class, and I don't think any team should have an issue taking him in round 2. The Bills need both corner and safety help, so I'd expect one of those first 3 picks to be in the secondary. And here Makuba brings a ton of aggressiveness and power from a deep safety, and is someone who seems to always be around the ball in times of need.
This hit. Boom, big hit. 3rd and 8. Levitt.
that ball's intercepted.
Because of the depth of this defensive line class, I opted for the Panthers to take McMillan in round 1 and wait to grab an edge here in round 2. And although this isn't a super popular pick, I absolutely love Michigan edge Josiah Stewart in late round 2. He was one of the most productive edge rushers in the entire country over his college career between Coastal Carolina and Michigan, and was routinely winning pass rush reps against elite tackles across the Big Ten and even in the playoffs in 2024.
Just a couple of seconds went by. Childs, pursuit from the backside, down he goes!
It's definitely possible the Texans double down here at offensive line in round 2, but the wide receiver need is still glaring with the loss of Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell being out. Christian Kirk helps, but they need another body in the receiver room, and my next top receiver on the board is Iowa State's Jaden Higgins. He's 6'4" and ran a 4.47 and was super productive last season for the Cyclones. If they feel the size and speed is a bit redundant with Nico Collins on the other side, Higgins' college teammate Jalen Noel is also another strong option.
Looking for his man. It's caught. It's touchdown.
The Ravens have a need along the defensive line, especially after going safety in round 1, but with corners dwindling a bit in round 2, I think the speedy Darian Porter is a great pick here. I also think D-lines are very deep in this class, and they can address that need later on, having 3 total picks between rounds 3 and 4, where I just don't think the talent is as deep with the defensive backs.
C-gaps. They fake it to him. McNamara got to throw it back the other way, and it's intercepted.
The wheel route down the sideline? They do not.
Boy, nicely played by...
The Lions need more bodies and youth on the offensive line as well. Despite having one of the league's best units, they lost Kevin Zeitler this offseason and promoted standout rookie Christian Mahogany already. So the depth took a bit of a hit, and guys like Ragnow and Decker are getting a bit older, so using pick 60 on Tate Ratledge is a no-brainer to me. Of course, they could double down on D-line here, but I think they definitely need to add more bodies on both sides of the trenches in the first couple rounds. After grabbing an edge in round 1, the Commanders still have a big need at defensive back at either slot. Corners are pretty thin here, but I'm a big fan of Penn State safety Kevin Winston Jr. He's one of the best tacklers in the draft, hits hard, and has great size for the safety position. All traits that could lead him being a true leader in that defensive backfield in Washington, as long as they also grab some more corner help.
He's improved. He's gotten calmer, under control. He felt the pressure there. Oh, what a catch.
Looking to throw again. Had a man in his space.
Corner is still a big need for Buffalo, but with Darian Porter off the board here, my next highest corner, Jacob Parrish, would be a pretty decent reach to me here. So going with more defensive line help is a move to me, with a guy who could probably be off the board by now in Darius Alexander. He's one of the more polished defensive tackles in the class to me, despite coming from a non-Power 5 school in Toledo. But as we saw last year with Quinion Mitchell, coming from the same school, that doesn't tend to matter much at all.
Duggar. Intercepted. Picked off by Darius.
The Chiefs are honestly in play for a few positions here. They could go running back, take another lineman, or address the defense. And I think upgrading the defensive line is a smart move, giving a guy like TJ Sanders the ability to learn and play alongside Chris Jones for the foreseeable future. Sanders is potentially a top 50 player in this draft class, and I'm higher on him than some of the remaining edges on the board like Jack Sawyer and Princely Imanian. The Eagles are not yet sure what to do with Dallas Goedert. He's on the trade block, it seems, and his contract situation's up in the air. So this is a definite spot where we could see his future replacement taken, and LSU tight end Mason Taylor has worked his way up to round 2 on a ton of boards lately. I think a more useful pick would be in the trenches here, honestly, but setting up more weapons for the future in case you lose some guys is never a bad option either.
Caught! It's gone! And they're going to throw it to the end zone. Looping catch.
That's it for my third mock of the 2025 NFL Draft. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below and which players you liked most in this class, as well as any ideas you have for content in the future. As always, thanks for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.